America has never been more diverse. I mean, there are people from oodles of races that live all across our country. They often practice new or different religions. So the question comes, are all these religions true? My name is Paul Basin. I'm glad you've tuned in to watch this really big question. And today that is the question, are all religions true? The reality is that 50 years ago, most Americans self-identified as one of three things religiously. You were either Protestant, or you were Catholic, or you were Jewish. In fact, even in military bases, you had Protestant service, a Catholic service, and Jewish service. That's all there ever was. But today, where I live in North Texas, my neighborhood is filled with people who are Hindus and Muslims and Christians, and a whole lot of nuns, N-O-N-E-S. My wife is a member of a group called Daughters of Faith. It's women who are Hindu, who are Islamic, who are Jewish, who are Christian. And they get together, and one of their goals, or one of their rules is no evangelization or proselytization, if that's a word. And look, your kids are going to go to school with classmates from every religion that you have heard of and never heard of. So the question, of course, comes, are all of these religions the same? Are they all true? Actually, can we even know? Well, to begin with, I'd like to ask the question, what is religion? That sounds a little academic, so let me make it as simple as I can for me. Religion is our attitude toward and our thoughts about the world beyond us and about God or gods. That's it. It's how we feel towards what we think about a world beyond where we exist now and if there are God or gods. Then the question comes, well, who's religious? The answer, everybody. Really, social scientists and anthropologists have studied cultures all around the world for centuries and said it's virtually impossible to find a culture that isn't religious. Religion is universal. I recognize, as I've said before in a couple of these talks, that in our northwestern hemisphere, where we live in this European American world, North American world, that in some sense, religion is not as universal. In fact, atheism and agnosticism and all sorts of other options are out there. But if you just take the whole world over the centuries, over the millennia, religion is universal. Now today, if you are skeptical about religion or about Christianity, you may have reached several conclusions on those topics. For example, you may have already reached the conclusion that all religions lead to God. And that's really a fairly logical view based on the fact that we live in a modern democratic society. Everybody's equal, so therefore all religions are equal in your mind. This is a worldview. You may have already reached that conclusion. Or you may have reached this conclusion. That religion is primarily about how you live. It's not really about what you believe. In other words, it's kind of irrelevant what you believe. Your morals are far more important than your doctrines. Ethics is more important than theology. How you live is more important than what you believe. Or, if you're, again, as I said, skeptical or unclear or unsure about Christianity, you may have already concluded that Christianity is very exclusive, that it's intolerant, that it's judgmental and narrow. If you're interested on that, I have a talk on how can you trust the church in this series. But I'd like to share with you what I think is a thoughtful Christian perspective, you may or may not disagree, about Christianity and world religions. Okay? Several thoughts. Here's the first. A Christian cannot be neutral about religions. I'm a follower of Jesus, so I can't be neutral about religions. I'm already subjective. I own that. I, along with other Christians, believe that Jesus is the ultimate final revelation of God. So as we look at all other religions, we don't look at them and say, oh, well, they also have the ultimate final revelation of God. That's just a part of our understanding of who God is. But I also would say that a Christian very much respects those who follow other religions. Of course, we'd love anybody who is convicted by the truth to follow what we believe. But if not, we want to have a dialogue, and we don't want to end the friendship if somebody doesn't want to agree. And as I've talked about in another talk here, we certainly don't want to force people to believe what we believe by any form of pressure. The third thing I would say is that a Christian looks for and expects truth in all religions. Did you know that? As a Christian, I don't think that Christianity is the only religion with any truth and all the others are completely pagan and truthless. In fact, I believe that all truth is God's truth. And so if people are seeking God in their religion, then doesn't it just make sense that somewhere along the way God has revealed something to them and there is some truth in their religion? Of course. A fourth thing I'd say is that a Christian looks at Judaism, however, differently than all other religions. And the reason is because of its unique relationship to Christianity. As you know, Jews have their scriptures. Christians call those scriptures together the Old Testament, meaning that they lead to the New Testament, dealing with the covenant with Israel that leads to the covenant with the world through Jesus. And because that is still such an important part of the life of Christianity in the church, we tend to see Judaism in a different way. Another thing I'd say is that a Christian acknowledges that both Christianity as a religion and the church as a movement deserve legitimate criticism. You'll find that in my talk called How Can You Trust the Church? One last thing. A Christian points to Jesus, and his message is the heart of our faith. That's in my talk called Who is Jesus Really? And I want you to watch that if you haven't, because I can't prove other religions are true or false. None of us can. You can't, I can't, none of us can. But my goal is I hope I've stimulated your thinking, and I hope I've turned down the heat and turned up the light on this very important topic of understanding the truth of religions. I hope it makes sense to you. If you're unsure about religion and Christianity, I hope you'll keep watching these talks and try to go deeper and deeper. Thanks for watching this talk. If you liked it, be sure and hit thumbs up. For more content, be sure and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below, and it will notify you when more really big questions videos release. And in the meantime, check out our channel. We've got talks on marriage, on sex, on parenting, and more, because if it's important to you, it's important to us. Take care.